Welcome to Abridged, a podcast on everything Bracebridge, with your host, me, Mayor Rick Maloney.
Well, I'm pleased to be joined this morning with our Director of Finance and Treasurer for the town of Bracebridge, Mr. Paul Judson. Paul, welcome to Abridged.
Thank you,
It's
Your
great,
Worship.
Great to have you as a guest. Rick is fine. But, I'm really glad that you're able to join me this morning. One of the major decisions and decision points that a council has is setting its budget. And we have just approved the 2025 budget for the town of Bracebridge. And we've done that in a time where we've been able to present that budget, approve that budget, pass that budget well before 2025, which is unusual. Talk to me a little bit about that budget of 2025, and then how do we build our budget? What does that budget look like, and the building blocks around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is the first time in history the town has actually been able to pass its budget before the beginning of the year. It's our intention to continue doing that going forward. And budgeting itself, I would say, is almost a year-round effort. It's not something that's done right before we table the budget. We have a defined process that at the town we call our building block approach. And it starts really to a certain extent right at the beginning of council's term, where council sets certain priorities for the town to follow. Based on those, staff create a series of business projects to meet those priorities. Each year, as part of our building blocks approach, staff present a report to council with a number of business projects that it intends to include in the budget. And council approves those, and staff build the budget based on those projects. At the same time, staff is each year presenting a 10-year long-term capital plan, we call it, and seeking permission or authorization to incorporate the first year of this capital plan as the basis for our budget. So well ahead of budget, we have direction from council on capital spending. We have direction from council on business projects we want to include. We also send out a call to the community to solicit applications for our community grant program that we provide nearly $20,000 a year in grants for that. And we work with our stakeholders as well. Library is involved, BIA, all contributing towards this budget process and that document that council ends up seeing tabled in November, hopefully going forward. So that's the approach. Every year these steps are taken along the way, and the idea is that we take these steps so that when budget day comes, it's a straightforward and orderly process. And council has seen a lot of the thinking of staff well ahead of time and approved it so that when they see the budget, there's no surprises.
Yeah, your point about council when they see it, council has been very involved in those building blocks as we move through that budget process. So there's no real surprise when you open up that budget binder and take a look at it. You, as a council member, as a mayor, I'm very much aware of what we're going to expect when we see that budget document, because we've had those decisions all the way along, in terms of the capital planning, in terms of asset management goals and priorities. So, really that building block approach serves not just council well, it serves the municipality well, but also serves the community well, as it's very predictable. And there's been discussion points all the way along in terms of where we've got, and that's a great approach, and I applaud you for bringing that approach to the town of Bracebridge. You talked about the community component. We fund the Bracebridge Library. We fund BIA through taxation. We support a number of groups and organizations and events. It's an important part of the budget, right? Like that, it's not all about how we're fixing our roads and keeping our assets maintained, but also how we can use and leverage our tax dollars to support community activities and community growth. And one of those big growth things is the Muskoka Lumber Community Center.
Absolutely. And so for 2025, one of the big projects that we've included this year is funding to incorporate the full year impact of operating the Muskoka Lumber Community Center, a very substantial asset for the town. In terms of value, the value of the facility exceeds the value of all of the other town facilities combined. So it took a lot of preparation in prior year budgets to build fiscal capacity so we could incorporate this facility onto the levy in a manner that was smooth from a taxpayer standpoint in terms of the tax rate.
Yeah, I think the smoothing piece is really important, and how your approach has been to not see any unreasonable major jumps in the levy, and smoothing that, knowing that we were going to bring on a generational project, a generational facility, and smoothing that with always keeping the taxpayer in mind. That being said, the 2025 budget, what does that mean to the average taxpayer in Bracebridge?
Yeah, so for this year, the budget works out to about an increase of $148 per $300,000 of assessed value. So you might ask yourself, well, $300,000 of assessed value, that doesn't buy anyone a single family home in Bracebridge, and you'd be right. But the important thing to keep in mind there is that in the 2025 property tax year, properties continue to be assessed based on their values in 2016.
Yes.
So that's because the province has suspended MPAC's 4-year assessment cycle. It did that back during the pandemic, and at the same time it announced a review of that assessment cycle. And we don't have any details over that yet, but what it does mean is that for 2025, homeowners are going to continue receiving a letter from MPAC showing their home's assessed value based on the value as of January 1st, 2016. And when the assessment does come, I think it's important to consider the fact that reassessments, they're revenue neutral for the town. The town doesn't generate any more money from those. The town sets its tax requirement in its budget. Property values, so those assessed values, are the mechanism through which we collect that tax requirement from the tax base. So when the assessment comes, it may result in some relative differences in terms of how the tax is collected, but it won't generate any additional tax revenue for the town.
Yeah, it's an important thing to remember, is that the town only collects what it needs from the levy to accomplish its budget. So it's all relative to that, right? If MPAC values changed, that same dollar amount that we would be needing from a budget perspective doesn't increase exponentially. It is, here's our budget. This is the dollars that we require to do and accomplish the projects for that budget year. And sometimes it's hard for folks to get their head around that, but it's an important piece that we only take and levy what we need, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also important to put this year's budget in a historical context as well. Inclusive of 2025, the town's average tax rate increase between 2019 and 2025 works out to about 3.7% per year. That's despite all the challenges associated with COVID, with unprecedented inflation, and opening what's really a once-in-a-lifetime facility, the Muskoka Lumber Community Center. So I think the town has really taken an approach to balance taxpayers' interest in terms of holding taxes down with ensuring the town's financial sustainability and continuing to deliver on council's priorities.
That's absolutely a great point. And even in 2020 and 2021, I think we were looking at almost the zero for 1 year for sure, and perhaps zero for the second year. But certainly we recognize the challenges of families in our community over the last 5 years, and particularly through COVID as well. One of the things that I wanted to just touch on quickly, property tax levying is one source of revenue that the town has, but that's not the only source that we use to accomplish our goals in a budget year. What are some of the other revenue streams that we have?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for 2025, our budget includes $45 million of spending. Just under half of that is property tax revenues, and the rest are other revenue sources. So in there would be investment income, grants from other governments, as well as user fees and charges on things like recreation programs, things like that. So quite a significant amount of revenue outside of property taxes is being generated here. And I guess I would want to point out investment income in particular. The town is a prudent investor, and so it's able to invest its funds through a joint investment board that invests the funds on behalf of the town with professionals. And since transferring our funds to that joint investment board in, I think it was 2021 or 2022, the town's investments there have grown from around 5.6 million to 7 million. So
Wow.
substantial increase in investment income over that period. And those are things that contribute to the town's revenue base. In addition to those, we also collect a dividend from Lakeland as well. That's over $1 million per year and is used to support capital priorities. So lots of different revenues in addition to the tax rate, the property taxes.
Yeah, the opportunities for municipalities to have more tools in its investment portfolios have been really helpful for municipalities, and we have taken full advantage of it. The town of Bracebridge has been a leader in the one GIB, one investment portfolio, and as you said, we're reaping some great dividends out of that during a very fertile market, I guess is the best way to describe it. We have a little bit of time left, not much, but I just wanted to touch on the last thing. What does the future look like for budgeting? I know that municipalities have been talking about multi-year budgeting. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, so the town has gone forward and procured a new budget software, which we need to implement in order to have multi-year budgeting. And so the town's in the process of implementing that. There's quite a bit of work on the backside to implement that we're going through now.
Yeah.
But the goal is once it's up and running, we will move to this new platform to do our budgeting. Once it's running properly, then we will bring forward a report to council to disclose the details of moving to a multi-year budget framework. So we're certainly moving in that direction, and that's our intention. But there's just a few steps that we need to pass along the way.
And that brings some predictability for the taxpayer, that they have an idea what their taxation will be over the 2-year period. Also brings some opportunity for us to do better planning when it looks at capital projects. We can look beyond 1 year budget cycles and plan for multi-year budgeting. Really works out from a capital side of things as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have the long-term capital plan now, which we provide a 10-year snapshot for information purposes largely to council.
Yeah.
Having multi-year budget, wrapping those capital spending priorities in with operational projects, which can span multi-years as well, and really give us a view on where tax rates are heading beyond just 1 year is really our goal and where we're moving towards.
Great. I know there's lots more that we can talk about. We're just about reached our time. As a matter of fact, we probably went over our time a little bit, but that's good because it's always great to talk about how the town uses and leverages the dollars that it receives through taxation to provide the services that it provides. Paul, thanks for coming in. We'll look forward to having you again join us on Abridged. And there'll be lots more for us to talk about 2026 and the building blocks for that as well.
Thank you, Rick.
Take care.
I'm joined by Brenda Rhodes. Brenda, good morning.
Morning.
And welcome to Abridged. Brenda, you are, of course, the Deputy Mayor for the town of Bracebridge, which everyone knows, and Bracebridge Town Councillor, but also you're the chair of Bracebridge's 150th Anniversary Working Group. How's the planning going so far?
It's going wonderful. We have a really engaged committee that are coming up with ideas, and the community's been engaged and giving us ideas in the early stages, and we're still looking for more of those ideas from the community, but it's coming along. We have some really fun stuff in line for the year.
And really engaged and energetic group of persons on your committee that are taking a number of different roles. What are some of the key activities that you're working on now? I know that you're really planning for that major event in June, but tell us a little bit about what's happening in the planning stages.
So just mapping out that June 7th and 8th date, what that's going to look like for the community to come together and really have some fun and celebrate Bracebridge. So, do you want to go into the little nitty-gritty pieces of that, or? Yeah,
so June 7th and 8th is the big weekend that we have. Let's start there. Tell us a little bit about the planning around that. What's happening? How do people get involved to be part of it, first of all, and secondly, what are some of the major events that will be happening over those 2 days at James Lang Park?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So how to get involved is block off those dates on your calendar. Make sure you're available, that you can come down to the Fairgrounds James Lang Park. And the committee's been working on many things that are going to happen in that space. So from a trade show where we're going to showcase businesses from Bracebridge and artists and everything that Bracebridge has to offer. We're going to have an author's corner that will highlight either Bracebridge stories or Bracebridge authors. We're going to have historical displays, music, family picnics, food trucks. You name it, it's going to be there. It's really going to be a fun event for all ages. We're making sure a beer tent, right? So we want to make sure that it's for all ages, for everybody in our community to come and enjoy.
So there'll be vendors, of course, music, I'm sure, and lots of activities, very family focused. Those 2 days, are we, looking at any major event? Is there going to be an evening dinner, dance, or anything like that, or what is the kind of the plans around the 2 days?
So we're still working on the evening portion, and I think that'll go into the community. The weekend before, on Father's Day weekend, we have a volunteer, Jill and her crew have been putting together a reunion. So a Bracebridge reunion for the Bracebridge High School, and I think that's on the 14th, so June 14th. It will be a big reunion in town, they're doing a phenomenal job in bringing together people that still live in our community and people that may have moved away.
Yeah. I also saw in some of the activities there a way for you to kind of trace your family history or your roots to Bracebridge and even beyond Bracebridge, just, what are your family roots? I think that's kind of a cool thing, as we celebrate our 150th anniversary. We know our community is very diverse. A lot of folks have come to our community, but there's an opportunity there to do a little bit of ancestry search, a little bit of family tracking and things like that as well. Eh?
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's really important for people to know that about themselves and to trace it back to Bracebridge is really kind of an interesting piece. So yeah, it's going to be another component to the day.
And right now you're busy organizing. We talked about the June 7th and 8th event, the major events, but spiced through the year, there's going to be a number of activities that will focus on 150. I believe we're going to be doing kind of a launch of our logo at some point in the early part of this year. That's probably coming up soon. Tell us a little bit about some of the other activities that have kind of latched on to 150 that will be part and parcel of a full year of celebration.
Absolutely. And I just want to make a comment on the logo. The logo is really fun and vibrant and like our community. And staff really did an amazing job on that because it really does capture our community. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check that out. It's on all of our stuff right now. We've replaced our logo, right? Some of the stuff that's happening through the year is, our normal events, but they've added that 150 component. So it starts off with Fire and Ice, and they're going to be doing an interactive paint by numbers event there at Fire and Ice. And then it moves on to, like I said, the high school reunion, Canada Day, MAC, the MAC art show. They're going to have a nice component where, it's Bracebridge artists and musicians and things happening within the park. Midnight Madness, Music at the Meadows. Community Living is going to be doing a feature at that festival that will feature Bracebridge artists there singing. We have a downtown autumn art market. So I think this is new to I think they did this for the first time last year, but they're adding that 150 component into that piece. And then in October, of course, Oktoberfest is going to have that piece in there where that German connection to Bracebridge is going to be highlighted.
Ziggy zaggy, ziggy zaggy, hoy hoy hoy.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Bracebridge.
Yes, yeah. And we have, where are we here? Sorry about that. We have Muskoka Brewery. Sorry, that's where I was going. Muskoka Brewery's doing a beer for us. So that's really exciting and highlighting some of the beers that they've done over the time that they've been in our community.
Well, you just made an interesting point. Like I'm sure there's a number of businesses that have grabbed onto the opportunity to help celebrate 150. Businesses like Muskoka Brewery, other businesses, of course, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And the other piece to that too is the number of organizations that are also sharing a significant birthday. St. Joseph's Parish, I just understand that they're celebrating their 150th as well in 2025, and other organizations as well. So we're really kind of latching on or working in collaboration with some of those organizations. Talk a little bit about some of that stuff.
Absolutely. We're starting to collect those names. So if you have, if your business is celebrating a significant milestone, we want to hear about it because you're the roots of our community and we want to be able to celebrate with you. So our list is small so far, but it's starting to grow. So we have some more coming on board and please let us know. Contact either of us or any of the staff to let us know that you're celebrating that so we can make sure that it's up there and highlighted.
And going back to some of the businesses, there's been some keen interest in sponsorship and event planning around 150 from some of our business community. You mentioned the Muskoka Breweries and the other businesses that have quickly latched on.
We're still in that the sponsorship package hasn't come out yet. Excuse me. But we're going to be coming out and having those conversations because we know that our businesses get involved. They're huge supporters, right, of everything that we do. So we'll be out there soon and having those conversations with those businesses and getting them involved.
So if there is a business or an organization that wants to connect with the Bracebridge 150 working group, how would they do that?
They can contact me. They can contact our staff in the Economic Development Office. Contact you, obviously. Any counselor, just mention it, and we will make sure that you get to the right spot.
We do have a website presence as well.
Yes, we do. So that's on the Engage page. So you can just put in Bracebridge 150, and that Engage page will pop up, and it has all the information there. And it's starting to grow, and more information will be put on as we move through the year.
So if you go to Bracebridge, engagebracebridge.ca, go to look for the Bracebridge 150 page. That calendar that's on there, that's a moving target. It's always changing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. As more people want to come on, we're looking for any organization that wants to have a 150 component. They can just jump on and let us know what they're doing, and we encourage it. We want everybody involved.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to come and join me today on Abridged. I'm sure that we're going to have you back and talking about some of the more events as they get more kind of, I guess, calendarized into the calendar and talk a little bit more about that. But we're really excited about celebrating the 150th anniversary of this wonderful town and the great community folks that are here, the great community folks that help build this community, and looking forward to a great celebration in 2025 for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, I'm joined by my first recurring guest on Abridged, Tracy Larkman from the Bracebridge Downtown BIA. Thank you for coming in, and congratulations on being a recurring guest for Abridged.
I feel so special.
And you've brought gifts today, and we're going to talk about some of the gifts you brought in. A week away, Fire and Ice.
1 week away, Fire and Ice.
Tell me what's happening. How's the planning going?
Planning's going fantastic. I got to say, we live in a great community. We've got so much help with the businesses out there, but we're ready to go. And we have lots of snow.
We do. And snow's not going to be a problem for sure.
Not at all.
Tell us a little bit about the really kind of cool events we have. And we've kind of divided the downtown up into kind of three different segments. There's the Memorial Park, Midtown, Downtown, and I think Taylor Road. So maybe 4 different areas. Talk a little bit about some of the great events that are happening over that period of time. Beyond the famous tube run, right? That's a given.
Right. The tube run is a given, especially this year with the amount of snow, but we have a lot of really amazing activities that are happening. So up in a Memorial Park area, we've obviously got the skating rink is back up and running, which is fantastic. It's been a couple of years.
And the ice looks great.
Ice looks fantastic. Mother Nature was on our side with that. But we're also got, axe throwing, and we've got a lumberjack show. We've got a beer garden up there. But new this year, we actually have a food truck alley, which is kind of nice. Yeah, so there'll be food trucks up there and food. So lots of chances to get out and enjoy up in that upper end. Midtown is sort of that old, like where the library used to be. And we've got obviously the tube runs there, but we've got a mini tube run. We've also got a new warming station, which is at the United Church. We've got Science North that's going to be there, as well as some of the service groups from town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so really fantastic. You want to start your day off, though, there is a pancake breakfast.
Oh, everyone likes pancakes and maple syrup.
Absolutely. And they do it the best. That's at the Bracebridge Active Living Center. So
yes, that's always very busy in there for that pancake breakfast for sure. So
it is.
Get there early.
It is. So, and then downtown, we have something new this year.
Oh.
It's called Glice. It's a synthetic ice. And I know everybody wants to try synthetic ice just to say they've tried it.
Okay.
So there'll be a skating rink on the lower end as well.
Oh,
As well as your fire pits and all of that fun stuff.
so we're really, if folks want to take advantage of the skating opportunities in Memorial Park and Gleiss, they have to bring their own skates, I'm assuming?
So for Memorial Park, you bring your own skates.
Yeah.
For Gleiss, we're going to actually have skates and helmets available for them to try, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily have skates to try. So this is a great chance to get out and try something new.
And I think our Birds of Prey are back again this year.
Birds of Prey are back.
That's a very interesting one for young folks of all ages to see those wonderful birds up close.
So we have a few shows there, as that's on Taylor Road. So all of our sort of entertainment's going to be on Taylor Road.
Yep.
We've got street buskers that are going to be, everything's going to be every hour on the hour for the street buskers and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, so the day is really planned. There's activities that are happening all through the day. So you'll be able to participate those all through the day. But then there's also some timed events. Folks would be encouraged, if they're coming, to take a look at the schedule, go online and take a look at the schedule and understand what events are what times. Is that a good suggestion?
That is a very good suggestion. We're going to have them also posted at each of the ticket booths coming in.
Okay.
I did want to mention on the lower end, we're also kicking off the Bracebridge 150 celebrations.
Yes.
Pretty excited about that. We have got a paint your own number mural, so
Yes.
you can come down and put your little, paint a box in the mural. It's going to be exciting to kick that off for this year.
Be part of a 150 mural that'll be hanging around the community for all through the year, but be part of that, filling in one of the colored boxes as participation in it. That's a cool
Absolutely.
idea.
So, but we do encourage everybody to look. We're also working with the Municipal Arts and Craft. There's going to be an app for the day of that they can download via QR code that will have sort of all the activities on it as well.
Yep.
But we'll also have paper copies for those that don't necessarily have a phone that they can download. But the information right now is on our Fire and Ice, bracebridgefireandIce.com website.
Mhm.
They can sort of plan their day.
Great. Tell us about how you get tickets. How what does it cost to come in? How do you get those tickets? I think there's an ability to do them in advance. Tell us a little bit about that.
So there is an ability to do them in advance, and we really kind of encourage that. It makes the system a little bit easier when you're coming through the gates. So basically, you can get it online on our website.
Mhm.
It's a really affordable day. It's $10 for 13 and up.
Mhm.
It is $5 ages 6 to 12,
Mhm.
and then for the little ones, it's free.
Well, that's for all the events and activities that are happening over the day. $10 for an adult family to come down there to participate in it. It's absolutely value. But there's so much to do and there's so many activities. I don't think that anyone's going to be concerned about the $10 admission price, because it's just a jam-packed day and lots of activities going on.
And I do know there's always been I don't participate in, the activities, so do I need to buy that ticket? And we do encourage that everybody buy a ticket to the event. It helps us support the ongoing of this event, just the cost from detours, event, bringing in all those activities,
Mhm.
All of those pieces, doing our give backs to our volunteers.
Yes.
I brought you in a hat today, and
Yeah, thank you.
every single volunteer gets a hat. So, it's all of those. So, supporting it with a ticket is great.
And parking, people are going to be coming. What do we have going on for parking?
So parking, we have about 500 spots in the downtown core, which, that's quite a lot of parking for our downtown core. However, to help the traffic flow, we do have shuttle stops. We've got 4 key locations throughout the town that will be a shuttle stop. The map is on our website as well, and they are direct routes. So you can basically pick up the shuttle and come directly down to the event and then return back. And that runs from 8:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night to ensure that everybody can get back to their cars.
So one of the key points then is folks take some time to plan their trip. What's the website that we want to go to?
It's fireandIcebracebridge.com.
Great. And all the information is there, parking, all the events, tickets. You can pre-purchase your tickets. Absolutely. This is probably one of the premier winter events in Ontario. Thousands and thousands and thousands of folks have come and joined us for Fire and Ice. We're looking forward to a week's time for Fire and Ice 2025. Trace, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing what's going on. looking forward to seeing you. I'm going to try to get my toque on, get my rear end in one of those tubes, and do a little run on Saturday for sure.
Can't wait to see you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That's a wrap on this episode of Abridged. Thanks to my guests for taking the time to join me today. This podcast was produced in the Dr. Ted Joe recording studio at the Colson Family Bracebridge Library. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join me on our next episode where we talk everything Bracebridge.